Regrettably, no. I guess the minister will stand up and suggest it was a dull and boring statement, and he'll celebrate that for the continuity that it suggests. And I wonder, though, if we needed to be a little bit more substantial. So, for example, the wage bill is something that has been haunting us for some time and contributed to the elevated levels of debt. And he could have been a little bit more assertive in suggesting that the overall wage bill, which is around 40% of the overall budget, it's about 12% of the size of the economy, is an area where we're going to, over the next couple of years, focus more assertively.
So you're disappointed that we didn't see more detail, or more hard talk on that line item?
I'd love to see a little bit more reconstruction in the budget. So I appreciate, for example, fiddling with VAT is seen as regressive, but it is a fairly low nominal level. It's been stable for a length of time. And it is not entirely regressive in the sense that there's a bunch of items that are zero rated. So I think you could have been far bolder in that respect, not to suggest taking away from raising personal income taxes, but we know well already, for example, 5% of all the taxpayers pay a substantial amount, 10 times their share of taxpayer size in relation to the total amount of taxes, personal taxes.
Has NHI fallen off the bandwagon?
I think it won't fall off.
I'm talking about national health insurance.
No, of course. Falling off, no, simply deferred. Deferred because affordability has faded in recent years. So this grand endeavor of the state being a substantial welfare provider, especially to the poor, while politically palatable, will come around in line with affordability. So deferred, but not derailed.
Has government communicated as such, or are we just left hanging on that front?
I think there's sufficient activity to suggest that as a concept, as an ideology, it remains firmly embedded in terms of government's endeavor to be a critical supplier of health and education services to communities that otherwise would not be able to afford better service.
What about the National Development Plan?
Mm-hmm.
This is the plan that needs to get us to 5% growth on the GDP line by 2019. Enough mention of it in the budget this time around?
I've heard of it, and I think we will hear bits of it, but it is going to fade from public consciousness. The reality is, for example...
Was it a publicity campaign?
No, I wouldn't say it's a publicity campaign, but the President's State of the Nation address quoted the NDP, if I recall correctly, once. This year, the government is going to be concerned about the municipal elections next year. So they're going to be concerned about puffing up ailing institutions, presenting a veneer of service delivery, showing that governance at local government level is improving, and Ministers Praveen Gordhan and Lindiwe Sisulu are going to be critical in providing a posture. But the NDP, lofty in its ideals, difficult to quantify and break down into bit-sized pieces, so its tractability fades.
The changes to the individual tax rate, Goolam, what do you make of those? Were you expecting more aggressive moves on individual tax rates?
Given that the nominal quantity of need at around 8 billion rand is not that substantial in terms of the overall reach that was required, so no, the modest increment from 40 to 41% was entirely expected. It was just a case of where exactly government was going to be active in terms of reaching into middle class and higher income individuals' pockets. I like the notion of it being increasingly distributed in terms of the adjustment was fairly broadly distributed, not just high end, and it suggests that there is some consideration that the high end carries a disproportionate tax burden.
Give me a rank on the budget, 10 being outstanding, 1 being nowhere.
So in two elements, in terms of substance, I'd rate it 6.5. In terms of style, probably 7.5. I think the new finance minister is coming into his own, and that's to be welcomed.